Well, it's 3 hours later and my bread dough seems to have proved quite nicely. I have a round bowl and a rectangular one because that's what I'm going to be using today to well, once I've shaped it, put it in there, let it prove for its second proof. I will be proving them in the fridge overnight and baking them off tomorrow morning. You can prove them for 3 hours once you've shaped them. So that, well, that's if you're using that on the same day. If you're wanting to develop the flavor and stuff like that, let it prove overnight in the fridge or in a really cold place. In the UK during winter, all you have to do is leave it right by the window, leave the window slightly open, and your bread will prove quite nicely slowly overnight. At the moment, it's a fair bit warmer, so yeah, about 3 hours out of the fridge, it should be good. Overnight, the whole night, tomorrow morning, first thing, it's get into the kitchen and bake them off. So here we go. I don't have nice proving containers, bannetons or whatever they're called, the cane ones. So what I do is I lightly flour a surface. I shall loosen up my dough ever so slightly, just like that, not even touching it really. Got my trusty scraper, make sure my hands are relatively floured. Put a little bit more flour over the top of the dough, just so that it's not wet and sticky, and it also absorbs some of the extra oil that's on top. Right, knock it back, which would be your kind of regular way of kneading the dough, just for a few moments.
Just to knock it back, get rid of some of the extra air that's in the dough. Yeah.
And then you'll find it's quite pliable, it's not sticky at all. And then what I do is I pinch it off. So I will take my fingers, I'll put them over the dough, around the dough like that, make sure that they meet in the middle, and give it a good squeeze. Right, I'm not cutting the dough, it just makes for a better product at the end of it. Right, the people that are seriously into this will give you a whole explanation as to why you do that. Me, keeping it simple, you end up with a nicer product at the end. Over here, I have some greaseproof paper, baking paper, whatever you want to call it. And that's what I'm going to be flouring ever so lightly. Put my dough on there. I will show you a little bit more about what I do with that in a sec. Right, so my dough, I shape it. Give it a little bit more flour. Okay, this one's going to go into the oval container. All right, so it's slightly oval. There is my seam on the top, and I put it seam side up. Then that I will take as it is and put it into the container that it's going to prove in. Excuse all the rustling. Okay, this is what it looks like. All right, and then I'm going to do the same again for the round ball. All right, put a little bit of flour. Okay, shape it. If you want to do it as one big loaf as opposed to two, you're more than welcome to. My original recipe asks that the dough is divided into two, which I've done here. I have the seam side up. I will add a little bit of extra flour onto the sides so that it helps with loosening up from the greaseproof. once it has risen. Right, so now mine is going to go into the fridge overnight. I'm going to bake it tomorrow morning, first thing, nice and early. If you wish, leave it out for 3 hours, let it prove nicely. Preheat your oven to 200, and yeah, we'll see in a bit. I'm back. It's relatively early in the morning. I've let my dough prove in the fridge overnight. That's the one. Here's the other. I've already switched on the oven to 220 degrees. I have a bowl of cold water which is going to go into the oven when I put the dough in to bake the bread. Yeah, at this point it's removed from the containers. Score it, pop it onto a baking tray, put it into the oven. 40 minutes later, should have some nice fresh bread. As I've been going along, add a little bit of flour to the counter. If you want to even do it like that, take your dough, because I'll just put it straight into the baking tray as opposed to putting it on the counter. All right. Here's the other one. Peel it nicely out of the baking paper. It should have formed quite a nice skin, which I will attempt to show you in a moment. As much as possible, don't break the skin. Seems to be a little bit sticky there. Not enough flour on my paper last night. Alright, so you turn it out, seam side down. Right, I'm just going to reshape this ever so slightly. Right, pop a little bit of flour on the top. It's got quite some activity going there. Pretty. Then, with the razor blade, old school razor blade, score it. So you're going to cut through that skin. Should give you those nice lines that you see on everybody's bread dough, or on everybody's bread once they've baked it. Right, and then into the oven, 40 minutes, could be about 35 depending on how hot your oven is. 200 degrees, away we go. Put the water in. So I put the water in underneath the dough. As the dough bakes, there's evaporation from the water underneath, which helps to create a really nice crust on the bread. My time will go off in 40 minutes and we'll take it out the oven and see what we got. So 40 minutes is up. I have just switched off the oven and am about to take the bread out of, well, let's say the oven. Whew. It smells amazing. Let's show you what it looks like. Okay, there's my two little loaves. Turn them over. Sounds hollow. Beautiful. Nicely baked and good to go. Yeah, so the baking instructions are that it's baked at 200 degrees fan assisted oven, or 220 in a regular oven. Yeah, don't have much else to say except for enjoy baking your sourdough bread.